We're back. We have arrived. A guest has appeared. A new challenger to enter the dojo of shit takes. sHockWave has joined us prior to practice. He has graciously come and hung out with us to discuss the best Hitscans of all time. sHockWave, are you ready to flame me?
Yep, I'm down for some
Awesome. Let's go.
crazy
takes. Bat crazy takes. That's what we're here to give. Yiska, are you going to be the disappointed parent that you always are?
I mean, I will see, because I feel there's a real chance where I will go, oh yeah, I forgot about that guy.
Like it always feels that way. That like you kind of fly by the seat of your pants. You do your list. You're like, let me have somebody spot check this, and then there's just a name that just eludes you. Eludes the couple of you that maybe spot check these lists. But we are going to be blitzing through this show. So before we get into our top 10 Hitscan DPS of all time, this episode 325 is brought to you by you guys, the patron producers and the people who support the show. If you can't support the show monetarily, download the podcast, like all that stuff. Leave a comment, algorithm stuff, you know the drill. But yes, thank you so much to our patron producers: Battlecrab, Refine Bean, Bronzebot, Boohow, Bullshin, Rexane, Volamel, and Sugar High. And our YouTube members: I am DRW, Brother, Adam L, Isam Gel, Fire Element 6, and AK. Now that that's out of the way, sHockWave, how are you doing? How are things?
I'm good. I'm chilling. Scrimming every now and then with our Flash Ops team. So
yeah,
kind of not doing too much. I mean, I guess there's a week from now till the matches begin. So yeah,
big chilling. It's Overwatch League is over season. It's time to remember what real life feels like, because I can't imagine being cooped up. Well, actually, I can't imagine. World of Warcraft Season of Discovery just came out, and I'm a degenerate, so there goes that out the window. I know exactly how that feels.
You're max level, right?
Sure. Oh yeah, I'm working on my second character. Come on now.
Where's your second character?
A rogue.
No, which level?
Oh, what level? I just started it.
Oh, okay.
So it's nothing crazy, but we're working on it. Outside of my degeneracy, let's lead into my first degenerate take. At number 10 for the best hit scans of all time, I come in with somebody who is accomplished. Probably this one was tough because I wanted some Western representation. I'm still kind of torn. I'm going to 50-50 this right now. I'm going to say the most consistent, not the most accomplished Western hit scan. I'm going to go number 10. I'm going to go a little spicy. I'm going to say Sparker.
Ooh, okay. I didn't see that coming.
I'm going to go a little spicy. So this was either between Kai or Sparker for me, right? Like these are two like fantastic hit scan DPS that I think have been amazing for a long time. I think Kai has him on like longevity, but in terms of just like consistent performances, I think Sparker probably takes it. I think Kai has more like explosivity. Like you think of his Widowmaker. Like I remember him back on like, granted, this isn't like something that I judged, but like I remember him in the amateur like Samsung team, and they would like plug him in and just be incredible. Even on Valiant was insane. Just a great like third DPS to kind of rotate in those like hard hit scan metas. But I always felt like Sparker was just a little bit more consistent. Could play the Widow, could play the Ashe, has, just a little bit more consistency. Is that fair to say, sHockWave? What do you think about that? Number 10.
I mean, I can like kind of see where you're coming from, but I think of this list, as when you put players in, then you gotta take someone out,
Yes.
So I have a bit of an issue with like having Sparker in when I see the other 10 options.
Yes.
I have
definitely.
So I guess
you can give your 10 if you want.
Yeah. I mean, this is so hard, man. But rating it on a bit of everything, like recent results, their peak, a bunch of stuff. I think I'm putting MN3 at 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd like that.
I think obviously maybe I'm a bit biased because I was in Korea in 2021 and he was on the academy team, so I have scrimmed him a fair amount. But also many of these on this list I've played against in rank, but also scrimmed. So I think this guy is at his peak, maybe the best or second best
Oh, for
Widow
sure.
in the world. But I think result-wise, like, you know, when he played on Philly and then Soul Infernal, I think, I don't know, they didn't do too well. So yeah, that's why I have him like a bit lower down, because if they did win titles and stuff, I think he would be a bit higher up. But yeah, he also hasn't been in the league, or he wasn't
Exactly.
in the league for so long, right?
That's why he's definitely like an honorable mention for me. Like his Ashe performance, what was it, last year on that fucking new Queen Street? Just absolutely one of the best like mechanical performances. And we've heard, I think Yiska, you had like an interview talking to somebody about like how he was this like super aggressive. The way that he played Hitscan was like very different. Am I remembering that right?
I mean, not only that, I feel like even from my top 10 list, and I don't have him, I have him as an honorable mention, but he was definitely on the edge.
Mm-hmm.
That player, like if we're talking peak performance, is definitely top 10.
Easy, yeah.
The problem
100%.
is that he shared playtime even during part of the season, because they couldn't figure out like if they should should put Carpe or MN3 on Sojourn. And I mean, I think the problem was that like the left click is a little weird, especially to MN3, and then it eventually figured it out. But basically the consistency. Like if he played his peaks for as long, I think like you would have to definitely get him in there for me, and then probably even higher. But yeah, for like it's just so competitive that I couldn't afford getting him in. Also in terms of white boys, Sparker not in here for me.
Yeah, no.
Honorable mention, but like I have Kai in 10th.
Yeah.
So
okay,
that's perfectly fair.
I feel like when Kai was on, he also took over games. He didn't play as much as one would think based on, having been in the league for as long. Also because Hitscan just was never really like consistently hard meta. But like whenever he played, he was never a liability and very often the reason why his teams won. And certainly, I'll tell you straight up, that's the only Western player that I have in my top 10. Like in 10th place. I think like everyone else, and like if you wanted to play to build a Western super team, you would have to have Kai in there probably to cover the Hitscan role.
Let me throw a name at the both of you that maybe it doesn't sound like it's on Yiska's list, but SHockWave, it might be on yours. If we extended the league out a few more seasons, do you think Hydron maybe makes the list? Is there a reality there?
Yeah.
Don't think he makes the cut?
Possible.
Possibly, but
okay.
Yeah, maybe. It's very hard to say though. But
sure.
Yeah, but yeah, I can possibly see it. I think he's
okay.
Gradually improved, but I don't know. It's the Korean region, I guess, on the very high mechanical roles is just
hard to beat.
Dominant. Yeah,
100%.
Yeah.
Speaking of, that's exactly where I'm headed. And it's a name that I've not been too much of a fan of throughout the history of OWL. You somebody's got to be kind of a, somebody's got to take a little flack sometimes. But you look at his pedigree, you look at some, the resume that he provides, the amount of heroes that he's played throughout his career. You kind of have to look at Hisu and you got to be like, dang, all right, this guy's pretty damn good. I think Hisu at 9 for me. Great spot, not too high, because I think there are some names that's like, whoa, you can't just be like juicing him that hard. I think Hisu had a great career. I think if he like retired today, and I don't know if that's a thing or yet or not, I don't know.
I don't know where he is.
Who knows? Sometimes they just get lost out there in internet land. So yeah, I would say Hisu at 9 for me. Solid player, great. Maybe not my favorite, but longevity wise, I think he takes it. Yes, guy, I saw you put your head in your hands. Why?
That's one of those names where I could include him. Didn't even think about him. I also don't think I would have him in top 10.
Sure, that's fair. Yeah.
But
You got a 9.
Oh, you want my 9?
Yeah.
Yeah, give me your 9.
Okay, this is wild. I think this is a name that you guys could have in top 5.
Okay.
I couldn't justify it. Also because the rest, there's just too many rings ahead of him, I think. It's still wild, but it's happy.
Oh, you're crazy for that.
Yeah, I knew you would say that.
Crazy for that.
Yeah.
Vesta, bro? Come on. You can't do it to him.
0 ring happy.
I mean, you're not wrong.
I think it's fair. I think
really?
Also,
Okay, all right.
Also, like notoriously like choosy. I would think about the environment.
Choosy.
Was like what I was very impressed by, which unfortunately is not part of this evaluation because it's about Hitscans, but its transition into tracer roles and
it did grow on me. Yeah.
Like that's just like in terms of like a complete player, he's really, especially like the longevity of his career and the adaptability is great, especially if you think about how he entered the league pretty much like on an Ilios clip on Widow, right? Like that's that's pretty much like what happened. I think also due to the fact that he didn't play season 1, it feels a little bit like he doesn't have the Widow when the boy definitely has, right? Because like the vast majority of Widow gameplays happened in season 1, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, like if you like the thing is, I think he should have won way more with Gladiators. I thought he was going to be the king nature for Gladiators, and then that never happened. And like it sounded through the grapevines that he wasn't exactly the solution to the problem that they were facing.
Okay.
And then generally speaking, like I think he's really good, but he also was a little bit a victim of his circumstances and the teams that played around him. And yeah, I think 9 is a fair place. I wouldn't be mad if someone had him in top 5 though.
Okay.
Yeah. He's fairly close. For me as well. But my 9th is actually maybe it's a bit surprising, but it's actually Decay.
Okay. No, I don't hate that. I think that's a solid.
Yeah. And I can add I actually didn't think too much of Hisu, but I would probably put him as an honorable mention, I think. That seems fair. But yeah. I'll put Decay. I think I don't know, for me it's like he's one of those guys where I feel like he's actually so good at the game, but there's just like other stuff like holding. I don't know if it's like tilting, like team atmosphere, whatever it is, but there does always seem to be some issues. So I feel like sometimes I remember because that's when I had my debut in like the Overwatch League season. We played against that Dallas field where he was on, but then Oni got joined and he didn't want to play. I was just like it was a weird situation for Dallas, right?
Sure.
But then there was like one match where he was it against Glad? I can't really fully remember it, but it was like he just went absolutely crazy.
The crazy Widow performance on Rialto?
Yeah, that. But like he just had those moments, and I think he is like a very, very smart player, but I feel like there's some maybe like other issues. And then like also if you look at results, has been a bit it's just been weird, like that Washington season as well, where like the playoff he just went he was the star. I don't know, it's just weird like career, but I think he's actually really, really good, and he's actually so smart as well. So
no, definitely. You talk about like monsters in the game who literally just take it over, like if they really want to, or if they're like just like playing well on the day. You look at that Rialto clip. You look at some of his like Ash. Is it last year, 2 years ago? Like absolutely just winning fights, going on flanks that you shouldn't even. I think it was during that like little stretch of time where like the role passives had like DPS like moving faster or like reloading some crazy weird role passive, and he was like flanking on Coliseo and just like going on these odd flanks and just like shitting on kids. Like Decay's a fucking beast, and yeah, I agree. Like there's something that like is not keeping, he is keeping him from like getting to those consistent like monster tier performances when you think of like people who just run games by themselves by like sheer willpower. Yeah, no, Decay definitely. I don't hate Decay on this list at all.
Do you have him?
No,
I don't either.
Oh,
It's a fair shout. It's a fair shout.
no, I like it. It's definitely. I think you could put him on the list. I don't personally.
this is gonna get so interesting when we get further up.
I think I'm always a little bit biased because I spent a little bit more time like looking at APAC. So I think my like APAC stonks are a little high. Yiska obviously, I feel like tends to agree with me there, but maybe I'm just a little APAC Andy
Higher
biased.
than the average Andy. Yeah, I would say that.
Okay. Okay, very good. All right, so that's 9. That's 10, 9. Yiska, give me your 8.
Well, this is hard, and this sounds wild, but okay,
Some-
we had a little discussion beforehand, right?
Yeah.
And I think it applies to Decay to a degree as well, is there are Hyperflex players in here that have a great hit scan. They just, because they're Hyperflex and play all kinds of different roles, they just haven't played it as much. Now, it doesn't necessarily apply to my pick here, and I think you could argue that he should be higher. It's just, A, not something he's known for, and I feel like it wasn't those games where he was most impactful on. And mine 8 is Leaf.
Okay.
That's interesting.
Mine is very close to yours. I'll put it that way. Mine is very close for very similar reasons. Yeah, no, I think that like trying to scrub as much of the like super old head Chinese like VODs out of my brain as possible. He has had performances, but he also hasn't needed to have those performances. You know what I mean? Like, we know he can do it. He just hasn't really done it a lot. And when he has, it's been okay. I think like the season that he debuted, there was a lot of Ash, and it wasn't fantastic. Maybe that's a team thing. Hard to say. I think a lot of people look at him as that like projectile player. He looks at his Echo being like one of the best of all time. Right. Look at his Genji, just projectile, tracer as well, 100%. Like he is one of those like definitive hyperflexes. But yeah, I'm close to you as well. Shockwave, what do you think about Leaf? Is that like a weird take? Do you think he should be higher or lower?
Shockwave,
I mean, it's really hard for me. No, I do. It's just for me, it's like hard because it's just there's some of these players when you scrim them, and especially when you play the sim role and you play them head to head,
right?
They're so like insane and good, but as you say, if you're rating them on, like you see them in the league, maybe they haven't played too much of it, and then maybe they haven't won as much as others. I don't know. It's very hard, but yeah, he's on my list as well, a bit higher up. But I think it's fair.
Do you have any weird like leave scrim stories, or it's just like, bro, I can't get off this kid. Like this guy's on my ass.
I've had a rank game
okay.
where I wasn't like too sure who it was, and I think he was like just insanely pissed off that there's something. So he was like on his the eval, whatever, like leave backwards. Like that's just
okay,
just
yeah.
The account he plays on in rank. And I actually didn't know that was him at that time.
Okay.
And he was just the insta-locking Widow, and he was just killing everyone in like good lobbies, like crazy performance. And I mean, he would have an insanely bad KD, but he didn't care. Like he was just not trolling, but he was just playing like one trick Widow like that. So yeah, I guess I don't know. He's also a bit like, I guess, toxic in rank and stuff, but I respect that. I can get behind that. It takes that sometimes.
It is a war zone out there, from my understanding. In these like high end lobbies, shit gets a little too competitive. People get under each other's skin. You get one too many Mercy one tricks, and yeah, I don't hate the idea of just tilt locking Widow and just muting comms and just like shooting, just getting face. It's I feel you. It's it can't be fun. Can't be fun.
No, but my number 8 is happy.
Okay.
So I think it's I kind of agree with what the Yiska said about him. So I think there's not too much to
be
say.
said.
I think he's honestly like you know just a class like Hitscan, I would say.
Mm.
Maybe like a little bit weird season, with with Glads.
Mm.
And then this, most previous season it was kind of just Tracer
Yeah.
for the most of it. So yeah, but I think it's just a very very solid hit scan, and I agree with most of what Yiska said. So
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Like
Joe is cooking. Come on, give me a shit take.
I will say. Well, I mean, I've already tried to give you a shit take. I will say I've had my opinion swayed on Happy, especially looking at people who I had ahead of him. So I was, as you were kind of talking about that, I was kind of I was like, I don't. I think they're right. I think you kind of have to put Happy a little lower. But that being said, you want to talk about somebody who criminally, I think, is both overhyped by like just absolute stands for this player, but I think statistically and career profile wise undervalued, especially on lists like these. But you also can't juice him super high. Number 8 for me is going to be Carpe.
Oh, okay.
Not a super ton of success, right? Some success, limited success, but you kind of have to put him on this list because like homie just clutches constantly throughout his crazy career since season 1. Constantly is just, if there was ever, there's not too many people I think even on this list that I would be like okay with when you see them just like we just talked about, kind of like tilt swapping Widow, like last second, let me touch, Shockwave's on point, he's juggling time, here comes Carpe over the top with a Widowmaker. I feel like I could put that ball in his hands and he would probably do some crazy shit with it. And we've seen him do crazy shit with it, right? I think that, to me, great sign of a mechanical beast, but never. I think he got outpaced throughout the season, or throughout like the seasons rather. Yiska, you talked about how like hard hit scans have never really been like dominant in the meta. On top of that, when Philly kind of moved into getting MN3, he split some time there. Yeah. Was more of a vocal figure, still good, but more of a vocal figure. Also somebody who like never died, I think, before the stats lab got shit canned. Definitely somebody on almost every hero that he played. Super, super low deaths per 10, which is a stat. I don't know how to exactly contextualize it, but it is very strange because that's usually correlated with success. So Shockwave, Carpe to you. How do you think of this like kind of figurehead of the Overwatch space? Is it too low or too high?
For me, it's close, but it's a little bit low.
Okay.
I agree. I think there's something to be said about not the results. I mean, it's just the second place joke.
Kind of.
But I also think there's some value, like the consistency.
Yes,
definitely.
Like, because that has definitely a lot to say as well. And then towards the end, I think it's reasonable that he's not higher because he did end up like kind of not like being like insanely dominant top tier and like getting second place.
Yeah.
As much. So yeah, I have him a bit higher, but I think it's pretty fair to say.
Okay.
What was he like as a teammate?
Carpe is, I mean, he's a legend. He's
I mean, he is.
Yeah, I mean, he is, and he's so like he's honestly so smart as well. He's not, because there's some that like Hitscan mains, that they don't really have too much of a brain and too good of a game sense. But yeah, Carpe is very very smart. And in like when he's like shot calling as well, because his English is so good, right? I think he kind of sticks out a bit from that. I don't really want to judge these like on their
sure
level of English, but I know for a fact, like having played like the leadership and stuff, I at least like personally think was crazy good. So yeah, I have him a little bit higher. But yeah, I think it's fair that he's not at least like top 3.
Yeah, 100%. I think I can't say that I've necessarily kept up with Team 1 in Valorant. Hopefully this isn't a complete head-ass take, but it doesn't surprise me that somebody like
he's
Carpe
shot calling now.
transitioned well. Yeah,
that just came through. Like he's like shot calling for T1 now, and like that really adds up with what you're saying, right? Like,
yep.
Yeah,
boy's got a brain for sure.
He does. He's very, very smart, and I mean like socially as well. Yeah, he's just genuinely intelligent guy. So
Hell yeah. All right, Yiska, number 7 for you. What do you got? Oh, his head's in his hands, audio listeners.
Okay,
he's writhing. He doesn't want to say it, but he's gonna.
I don't know where this guy fits, so I put him here. Okay.
I do. Yeah, I feel that.
I have no idea. So, okay, here's one thing that lives rent-free in my head. Is actually something that sHockWave told me, that you told me. Is his movement is crazy. Okay?
Oh.
I remember you telling me during an interview where it's like, that's an underrated skill to be just very hard to hit, right? Then, like, when Fitz came into the league, he was, like, really dominant, especially, like, the second season, I think, after he hit. That's probably peak Fitz. Yes, like, the most recent league, he apparently, played the freaking role. But I think, like, the longevity of the career here, and just, like, also the peaks, I would say. Especially, like, while Hitscan still had, like, peak value. Keep in mind, like, he's during his peak, he's also up against a lot of Hitscan players that are experiencing their peak, I think. So,
sure.
I think you could almost justify not having him at all, but I just have him 7th.
That's fair. I don't hate anybody that has Fitz on a top 10 list. Me personally, I think he, and maybe this is heretical to say, I think he had like a great, like, was it like one of the first seasons with him and Fleta teaming? I thought that was like, I was like prepared to like start singing the praises for him for years to come. It just never like lived up to that. It just never kind of recaptured that magic that I feel like Fitz always had. And I always was like expecting him to do more. And maybe my memory is just going, but I just don't feel that monster. Like I would put Decay on a list before I would put Fitz, me personally. I think arguably similar kind of contributions to the league in terms of just like being around. But yeah, no, I personally don't have Fitz.
I was looking at playtime for both players.
Sure.
Which is why I sent you guys the Winter Slap link, which also revealed my entire top 10, like, because I'm an idiot.
Just ordered.
But I think, like, there's an overrepresentation of Hitscan play in season 1. But also, like, I think for that, Decay played, even though Decay came in later, Decay played not that much Hitscan, but in comparison to someone like Fitz, especially in the earlier seasons. Now, towards the end, like, Decay is just a hyperflex DPS, right? Like, that dude can sit on Genji, can sit on Tracer. Maybe I have the mimetic, lock where I'm like, yeah, that's a flex DPS, that's more like a projectile guy.
That's
but
fair.
He definitely has a Widow as well, right? Like, definitely. Yeah, I don't know. Like, Fitz just seems like someone that should be brought up based on season 3, season 4. But also, of course, like a staggering lack of rings, if you're being honest.
Yeah, I think, that's all pretty fair. I think. I think my opinion about Fizz now, that's also one of my other ex teammates.
Yeah.
And it is true what I I told Yiska that I was surprised when I played him in 2021 in Korea. His movement, because you play versus certain players, and you like almost like stun locked, or like you just you see their movement in game, and you're like genuinely just, okay, this guy's like, he's consciously really thinking about like having good movement, you know, not just aiming. I don't know. It's just some people they stick out with the movement. You can really
Sure.
see it in
Oh,
game.
yeah.
So, but I think I don't know this list. I mean, it is very hard, but I think I put aside like Fitz and Birdring to kind of later maybe like put in, you know, here and there because those I wasn't like I kind of wanted the full list, you know, before,
Okay.
and then maybe you know move like a little bit. But I have Kai on 7th.
Okay.
And I think I haven't so high because he's genuinely played actual Hitscan, you know,
Yeah.
for so many matches, you know, and a long time, and I think at a very high level as well. So I just think of like when I think of like actual Hitscan DPS high level, you know, then yeah, I think very highly of Kai. And results wise, you know, they did get pretty far, which is was that 20? Was that 21?
With Glads?
22. Right?
No, Atlanta. No, were they not in?
Atlanta.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was
Yeah.
2021. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Yeah. So that's obviously sort of an accomplishment, and
Yeah.
the year after, I think they beat Shock, right? I think they did fairly, or maybe that was the year. Yeah, I can't fully remember, but all around, I think very solid. I think best Western Hitscan for sure. Through time.
Definitely somebody. Do you feel like there are types of players in the league or in Overwatch rather that I feel like you can kind of craft strategies for? Do you feel like Kai is one of those people that you could just like slap in a meta and just like force some kind of hit scan on like a given map and be like, oh, okay, it's Gibraltar. We're gonna put in Kai and do like some crazy hit scan stuff just because like we know that Kai is just like built like that. Like he is going to hit these shots. If like the strategy is around, I need you to hit like these super tight window. They're not going to give you much room. Like you just got to hit shots. You feel like Kai can be that person for a team?
I think if you really want to force his scan, yeah, I would say, but that kind of goes. I would say maybe for the whole list.
Okay.
Probably. The thing is that I think most of these players would be on teams that are good enough and well enough coached to not having to force some comp that is
Sure.
the best one. But yeah, I would say yeah, they could definitely do that. But I think he's also one of those. Is like it's smart, you know. I think if you watch his gameplay and you watch his streams or whatever, he has very smooth aim. You know, like it's very satisfying to watch Widow, Ash, whatever, right? But also generally smart. I think. Thinks about the game properly.
Okay.
So.
I like that. I think Kai is definitely somebody that deserves to be on here. So I support that. I say that because my next vote has already been voted. Number 7 for me is Leave. Leaves the homie. Is an absolute nutter butter. Can do it all. I don't think a ton needs to be said there. And I'll even double up with not much that needs to be said because number 6 for me is Happy. I did have to drop him below a couple people because I am a head ass and there's no shot that off of recent results can I put Happy above some of these people. There are some names that have to be above them, but yeah, Happy, both Happy and Leave deserve to be on the list. Super, super talented. Any team that like kind of looks at them as a hit scan can thrive and do extremely well. And I'd be excited to see either one of them on a team. And yeah, I think was it Yiska earlier you talked about how Happy kind of like transitioned into like the Sombra role a little bit more. Tracer. I think he kind of grew into that. Tracer. Okay. Yeah, definitely somebody that grew into that and I thought did fairly well for themselves. I think this last year. So yeah, that's 7. That's 6. Yiska, who's your number 6?
That's right. I have Carpe.
Okay.
So, like just like for reference, I saw Winston Slap, which I think has a couple of seasons missing. I would say
probably
season. I'm not sure. Season 5 is. I don't know what Baroy put in, but just generally speaking, like there are 32 hours of Tracer tracked for Carpe, but also 23 hours of Widow. Now, of course, a lot of that is season 1 for sure, right? But it's also that Carpe just like is Mr. Winnable. He has that season as well, right? Where he actually has the capacity to take over rounds and just pop off and see an opportunity where others don't. The head shake that Ikkyo does during that play still gets me because he's like, yeah, okay, I guess
sometimes that just happens, yeah.
And then also something not to be underestimated is 13 hours of Cassidy, which is a hero we do not like. It's a Hitscan hero. It's just nothing that you play that much anymore, right?
Yep.
I mean, I remember him playing that. I mean, I guess for the record, I have him in the same spot as well.
Mm-hmm.
On 6.
Nice. Okay.
But yeah, I remember because when I got to Phil, that was the meta. Like it was like Ryan. We played that at least, right? Because we got Rascal. It's insanely good May, right? So we played like May, Cassidy, and then I think we had Hotbed Diva, right? And then Manu could play Ryan. But yeah, I remember that very clearly. We were playing that. I think sometimes we're playing like Luciana, and he would just like the Nano would always like go on Carpe, right? Because that was like the win con, and it just worked. And he was very confident, you know. Just nano me, you know. And, you know, it pretty much always worked. But yeah, I think yeah, he could like if he kept, you know, having, I guess, like the same passion, you know, the whole time and stayed at the top, then I think, you know, he could have definitely been like a candidate for like higher up.
Oh yeah.
Because when I think of him, I also like, I mean, I think of like very smart, but also think of more, you know, more hit scan than Hyperflex, right?
Yeah.
I think same with Kai, which is why I want to like rank them a bit higher.
Right.
Because if you gotta look at like the best players, then maybe I would put Decay higher, right?
Sure.
But yeah, I think that's fair placement for him.
Fair. Yeah, no. Carpe, a legend of the game. Somebody who will go down in the history books is one of the probably the most influential. I think a lot of people forget that he was like this big PR machine in season 1 about Philly signing him to some crazy juicy contract and guaranteed this and money here, money there. Who knows? But number 5 for me is somebody who does have a ring, even though it was just one. Somebody who historically I was very critical of in his amateur performances, but knew he had promise. I'm going to say Merit comes in at number 5.
Ooh, that's interesting.
I think Merit has one of his big things that I feel like coming up, because I watched quite a bit of him when he had a season in China in Contenders. It felt as though, and I feel like a lot of players feel this way. They feel as though they need to do too much, and it makes them look very coin flippy. You know, where they feel like they need to be making plays all the time, so they do, but then sometimes they just kind of get caught out, and it looks like they're kind of inting a little bit. And I feel like that was Merit for a couple of seasons in Contenders. This season on Florida, holy shit, absolute masterclass, ace Hitscan DPS. Sojourn's phenomenal. Yes, I understand YouTube Andes. We understand he hit 3 people with 1 bullet. It's juicy. We love it. It's a great clip. That's not. Don't let that stun lock you from all the rest of the consistent performances that he can provide, because he has a deeper hero pool than I think he lets on, or at least he was able to show this year. And yeah, no, I think Merit's an ace, and I think I was very, very surprised at his debut, and he grew into a championship winning DPS. So yeah, no, Merit number 5 for me. Why is that shocking? Shockwave. Is that weird? Is it high?
No, I think it's a bit too low for me.
Oh, okay. Very good.
But I have a bit more recency bias.
That's fair.
But yeah, I just think I did just watching like the games. I think many of the Florida players, they generally look so smart and coordinated when they're playing the game. And their stretch as well. I think one thing is like, say they're playing like the Brickbab Sigma, and then he's on like Dorado first, and you've like never seen it. But like funny comps like that, like knowing that you don't have like he doesn't play the traditional way, you know?
Yeah.
Like he doesn't go to this high ground, you know, and then look for picks or something. He zones or like he just thinks, you know, like he has like an actual job for the comp, right?
Mm.
I think that's what I like really like when I watch Merit play at least.
Okay.
It's like genuinely really understanding his role as a hitscan in those comps. Rather
So if
than
I'm
just, you know, having good mechanics and stuff.
if I'm understanding you, is it more that he is like will allow himself to be that like role player, like he's just gonna like plug a flank and kind of like you said zone, but it's also still mechanically gifted enough to just like hit those shots, be that star player from maybe a disadvantageous position?
Mm, I don't know. I would say maybe that's maybe that's a bit more Carper.
Okay,
Carper,
okay.
you're like maybe a bit more like describing. I'd just say Mary's like whether you're playing like hit scan into like Sombra dive, you know, and he's like properly baiting,
Okay.
you know, and then they counter like with nano when they dive, you know, just that sort of stuff. And he doesn't do it too much or too little, so he doesn't really like necessarily like get punished. And he's just generally like very, I think, very hard to play against because he's so smart. Like I remember like sometimes like scrims or whatever, like in Widow once, you know, he's just I don't know, he's just so smart. I think so. Yeah, I have him a bit higher.
Okay.
But I
We'll
think
see.
yeah, it's fair to say that he definitely belongs along the top. So
Oh, definitely. I think top 5 for sure. Yiska, does he make your top 5?
He does. Now,
But not at 5.
not at 5. And
Okay.
that's like I'll tell you, Merit is also a position that I have to justify to myself. I'm feeling based posting with this one. Oh, but we'll get to it.
Okay.
Now, okay, this is also a crazy one. I feel maybe it's not crazy. Maybe you're just like that cold take. I've Bird Ring in 5.
Okay, yeah, that's not crazy. I don't think that's nuts.
I think like probably I mean, one of the elites in season 1 for sure.
Sure. Yeah.
Had a little bit of a dip.
Game.
Came back for finals when it mattered.
Hurt his
Then,
wrist, you know.
like had like his little break.
Yeah.
For like a moment, but like still consistent throughout the league, and will also. By the way, that little comment just completely threw me off. you tilted me in the neutral. Okay. But yeah, I think like he's just class. He got a ring, which is, I guess, everyone but one has one left for me. And like just the longevity, just the class, even into the later seasons, still one of the best. But also, one has to say, it's not like that. Whatever you think of Bird Ring is not just built on Hitscan. It is also built on other heroes, and that's something one needs to be cognizant of. This season it would be more Sombra, right? Yeah. So, yeah, that's why Bird Ring 5. But I would say my 2 to 5 I could just jumble, and I wouldn't be too mad.
Sure. Yeah, I agree with that. Shockwave, what do you think about Mr. Ring?
Well, as I mentioned with him and Fitz, I had like a really hard time to kind of judge them. So I think for this, I would have to like wait to like rank those because I think he could probably be there for me, but then I would have to push everyone like one rank down, you know?
Sure.
But I think, yeah, let me Fitz and Burring wait a bit with those, and then I have Leaf on 5th.
Okay.
Yeah. And that is, you know, also having scrimmed, and I wasn't really too sure what to think of him in 21. When obviously we scrimmed him a decent amount on Philly, and in ranked as well, you know, the infamous rage lock widow and kill everyone in ranked. But no, he's also just one of those. He's generally so smart. But yeah, his aim is also it's unreal. So yeah, I think I agree with most of you what you said about him. But yeah, I just have him like a little bit higher. But yeah, I think
that's completely fine. Once again, this is a super liquid list, I think.
Yeah.
As I said, like I think this is legitimately the second hardest list we can make, with Flex DPS probably being even a little bit harder.
See, I feel like you're stunned by the order, but I feel like a lot of the names for both Hitscan and Flex are probably like, there are like a good chunk of names that like everybody just accepts that they should just be here. And I feel like that's most, I don't know.
I feel like also with Hitscan, that role has just been fucked by Blizzard, you know?
100%.
Like, and it's just been, stuff has just been better anyway. So Flex DPS has always kind of had their heroes to play, you know? You've always had the Tracer, the Echo, the Genji, the Mei, all those stuff, you know? But the Hitscan has kind of been, oh, then you go like Sariat, then you go Sombra, you know? Then they play Echo Tracer, you know? But I think Flex has more or less stayed within its role, a bit more the same, if you don't consider Tracer Hitscan, you know?
Fair.
So I don't know if it would actually be as hard.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, both of those. I mean, it is hard though, for sure.
It's hard to like order them, and be like, oh, like what do you do with this player? What do you do with that player? You can't say that because like they have like less time. But I think it really is like there's a good chunk, and then there's some like fun names that like maybe you like that other people don't value as highly, and you're gonna argue that. Like I feel like that's the meat and potatoes of it. And in that same vein, especially in the context of time, because we do need to get you out of here, I do think this is going to be a little bit more of a liquid list. So I'm going to just give you 4 through 1 for me, and you tell me if I'm a head ass, okay? And we'll kind of just finish up real quick here, okay?
Okay.
Rapid fire. So number 4 for me, he's got a ring, absolute monster, does just kind of leave mid-season, so I don't know how to feel about that. I'm gonna have Ons at number 4.
Okay.
I have Mr. Ring, Mr. Bird Ring at number 3.
Okay.
I have Lip at 2. And I can't not put Shy at number 1.
Okay, you're smoking Beppis.
I'm on Beppis. All right, if I'm on Beppis, you give me your 4 through 1 then. Let me hear the fucking base take.
Okay, so the truth is, Joe.
Enlighten me.
It's the truth up for.
Yeah.
It's okay. The 3 and 4 I can exchange. It's almost equal. I'll say Aunts, Merit, Shy, Lip. And I'll tell you what, bro. For me, Lip is hard lock. That's the Beppis smoking.
Okay, that's fair. I don't hate it. If you want to jam Lip number 1 and just hard lock that, I don't hate that either. I feel like again 4 through 1. Well, okay, maybe 2 and 1 could be swapped. Everything else is. Continue.
I think that there just has never been a moment ever since Lip came into the league where I didn't think he'd just smash your boy. If he came, okay. If he came up to him, he'd just destroy him. And it was kind of foreshadowed. Maybe this is also me, like having the foreshadowing, the foretelling. Like I remember, like a coach telling me, like if you want to sound very smart, just say Lip is the best player in the league. And then, like, before Lip came into the league, there was some Widow Mercy meta, and this man was just, like, soloing fools, okay? Like, entire flanks just, like, shut down by this guy. And then, like, when he actually hit, it was crazy. Lip Widow is still insane high peaks. I think Sojourn, I think it's totally feasible to either have Proper or Lip as best Sojourn, or Shy, to be fair, during that season. Now, this season, there wasn't much Hitscan play from him, just because he's the Sombra GOAT as well, right?
Yeah.
And the only reason why anyone could even give me a good argument as to why this guy probably could not be number 1 is because he played too much Sombra, right?
It ruined his career, bro. It literally ruined his career because he was too good at it. One hero.
Like, Winston Slab has tracked 22 or 23 hours of Sombra. The next most played hero in that category is Sojourn at 11 hours. Okay, so like he played twice as much or more. And 8 hours of Ashe, 6 hours of Soldier, 5 hours of Widow, 4 hours of Hanzo. Keep in mind, this is not all accurately tracked. I'm pretty sure he has played more Widow than that.
Sure.
And I feel like he's just a monster. He has a ring. He's one of the reasons on his team why that team had a ring.
True.
That's also, of course, a guy you have to look at it as Hyperflex. But in terms of like raw skills, even at GOAT debate, maybe I'm overestimating like his general ability and extrapolate that onto the Hitscan role. But to me, it just felt like Flip locked in. But maybe Shockwave is about to tell me I'm an idiot.
No, it honestly, I think it's kind of fair. I just think well, I can say mine, I guess. So I would probably put Merit, then Ans, Lip, and then Shy.
Okay.
But I see the argument for Lip for sure. But I just think the reason why I put, I think it actually goes for Ans as well, is that I just think of like I value a bit more like playing actual Hitscan, you know?
Right.
And it's kind of what you said, like that would be the argument, you know? But I would say overall, Lip is, you know, probably better. But I think just like with World Cup, you know, and I think like even in Overwatch League, like Shy has, you know, I've scrimmed against him, you know, and when he was playing other stuff, but they like that's what you said, right, Volamel, with like them like forcing hit scans, you know.
Yeah.
He's like the peak example of that, I think. Where instead of like going to the Sombra and stuff, they would just, you know, like this is the hit scan guy.
Yeah.
And it
Right.
like they played into full dive. Like I remember in 2021, we were kind of doing it same times because that was the same situation with me, because like I was kind of the Ash guy, you know.
Yeah.
And then we tried to play like the Ball Trisha Ash instead of the Ball Trisha Sombra. And it's like it could work if, but like you had to play, you know, so well. And they were, you know, really good, and especially Shy. So yeah, I think, yeah, for that reason, I think I put Shy number one. But yeah, that's just because I read it from, you know, actually like more hard hit scan, right? But yeah, that's my list, I guess. And then I don't know, Birdring and Fitz. I gotta put them, you know, somewhere. I would probably agree with Yiska, Birdring number 5 probably, and then I would
Okay.
have to like move everyone, you know, down
Kind
one.
of a spot down, yeah.
Yeah, and then I would probably put Fitz. Let's put him below Carpe. I would do as well. So it's like the middle
Okay.
section is kind of looking like Yiska's.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would,
Fair,
that'd probably be my
fair.
list. But I think actually I want to say one like funny. I don't know if I want to put them as honorable mention or not, but one of the craziest things I've ever experienced is actually watching like Jimmy.
Yeah.
Like,
Here we go.
no, I'm not kidding. No, I'm
Yeah,
not
keep going,
kidding.
keep
This
going.
guy, like, he's like the pinnacle of all aim no brain or something. Like he would
All
I mean,
hands.
like no, in rank, like I swear this guy would go like 20 and 20, you know, like 1k the entire player. But
Okay.
I'm not kidding. No, I'm not kidding. Like this guy, when I don't know, when he has like that right day.
Yeah.
No, this guy, like he could generally like beat Shy, like in
Right.
yeah, but he's way too inconsistent, you know, and
Yeah.
result wise and career right there is just, it's too hard to like, you know, problem. But yeah, this guy is honestly, yeah, he's really weird. But that's just my biased opinion from having been in Korea, you know, and
Yeah.
I guess I've really watched like firsthand in ranked and stuff. Some crazy stuff.
Shockwave's watch Jimmy fuck is what I'm hearing. He's seen the tapes and owe me pounds, okay? Like,
Yeah.
and I agree. Like there was, Yiska maybe has a better memory for this, but I think there was like a meta where like coming in, I was like, bro, I think Charge is gonna fucking like if you could just get Jimmy on Hitscan and you, like you said, like just has the right day, they're gonna look really good, like weirdly good, and sure as shit, like. He just has a couple good games. They kind of get off to a good start, and they have like I think it was like a stage 4 of one season where they were already out, but like they looked really like they were like very competent, like they could compete. And then they had their little stint this year that they were like actually kind of competitive. So like, yeah, no, I hear it. I see Jimmy very mechanically good.
I'll tell you, it was a sad day when I had to get Jimmy out of the bacon jack box where I had to put him in. Right? Like,
Yeah.
He's just better, right? But yeah, like
Yeah,
it's a these plays are super fun. I think Pine is also someone like this, right? Like,
Yeah, they're just jumping into the backline, like trying to get clips, you know? Like, I don't know.
Actual ninja on Fortnite circa 2008. Like,
yeah,
what the fuck?
just
Don't know.
phasing in the Overwatch League, pretty much, right? Like,
Yeah. I do want to say though, like, for it's not really honorable mentions, I guess, but I think it's fair that none of us didn't really put like Kev or Proper.
right.
I think for the same way that like you look at Birdring and Fitz, it's like I look at him, I'm just so like I have him in that like hyperflex box, and I feel like he probably could be on this list, but like I feel like I just haven't been able to judge that hard hit scan from him. I don't doubt that he could play it 100%, but like I just haven't seen it, you know?
Yeah. I mean, me personally, knowing like and having played both of them, and ranked as well, and scrims, whatever. These guys, if they played Hitscan, they could easily be top 5. I think.
Sure.
Easily. I think if you like copy them, like let's say it's last year, right? It's a scrim. You're playing like whatever Sojourn like this World Cup, like the Sojourn Tracer, Break Monkey, whatever, and you just copy them. Like you have them at that level as the Tracer because that also matters, Many of these players like they don't have like a shitty second DPS, Like it's also really important having a good second DPS that can make infinite space for you as Hitscan, right? But I think in like duels, they could easily take on like all of them at the top. Honestly,
Why they're special.
Kevin Proper, yeah, no, 100%.
So we talk about monsters. There is a level above, and it's all those hyperflexes that just it makes you wonder what was fed to them, what kind of genetic splicing. There's something's different about them. They're very built different. Yiska, anything?
They're just so smart, Like they're just so smart about the game, so that's how they beat you, It's like they don't, it's not like crazy flick, or like they're just so smart. So it's almost like cheating. But I do want to say one thing that's actually kind of interesting though, if you talk about like peaks or something. I think Ans's peak is pretty interesting.
Okay.
Because when I think of like hard hit scans and their peak and stuff, I would say like watching that because that's also kind of the season when or before I got an Overwatch League, like I was watching Ans, and I think the stuff he was doing at that time is I don't know. It was pretty unmatched. I feel like. Whereas now I think this is like Merit. He had like some performances where you like I don't know, and then like Shy sometimes as well. But that season, I don't know. But it's so hard to judge because I didn't play and I'm just watching highlights or just watching the matches.
Yeah.
And there's so many factors. Like he did also have an insanely good team around him.
100%. One of the best teams. So
yeah, but he definitely like sticks out a bit as like the has like peak. Is I mean that is why he got so famous, right? So
yeah.
I think honestly, like Joe, I'm 7 gerbils and one of them is a Redditor, right? And that one is saying that we maybe have to defend like having Ans in 4th. Because I think if you poll the public, just like what Ans did, especially in that season 3 championship run, is probably something where a lot of people feel that's a hard lock for top 3.
That's fair.
And I would say that was Merit's season for me this
year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I 100% fair.
Right? Like, and he was clearly the best Hitscan player this year, right? Is there anyone close that even played Hitscan? I'm not sure.
I mean, it would have to be towards the end, maybe Shy.
Yeah, right. Shy would be the only other one.
But even Shy played a bunch of Sombra, right? Like,
they tried. That's for sure. They did.
I agree. I agree, and I can see them in both. But I think it's just, I don't know. At least I think back of that time as where you didn't see really Ans necessarily swap. Like that's why I kind of respect him. He's like he's the actual Hitscan guy. He's like I'm not fucking playing zombie. Like just hard forcing it, and I think that's at least my one reason why I have him a bit high. But I definitely agree. If you judge it a bit more like recent, and I mean, if you were to play today, Merit would definitely be
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
be better.
That's always one like big question is like, can you rank a guy very high for being the best at what
At
he
a
does
time.
for
Yeah.
one season, right? Because
Yeah.
after that, it was like paper mache. Okay, that boy broke multiple times during the rest of his career,
Yeah.
right? And Merritt didn't. Merritt was just there, and like Merritt was probably the second best Hitscan player last. No.
I mean, he did so great on Outlaws as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super good.
So.
Okay, Outlaws had him just like longer on the Sojourn and whatever, while everyone else was like sort of figuring stuff out. He was just there, was doing his job. Definitely like top 5 on the roll. And then this complete outbreak. I think like it was a super fair. You know, sometimes when coaches tell you like, yeah, we picked up Merritt because we thought he was the best Hitscan anyway, and like we wanted Happy, but like really, like we actually thought, oh, what? You're going to give away the best Hitscan player in the world? I'm like, Cap, you're guessing that guy up in order to like good vibes and like carry it through the season. I think like maybe they didn't believe it at the start. They definitely believed that shit in the end, and they ought to believe it because that guy was just lights out. And also, I think he was Finals MVP, right? Completely,
so.
Yeah, completely deserved, I think.
Yeah, no, Merritt's a fucking nutter.
He
deserves all the praise in the world. But in the context of time, I am going to get you out of here, SHockWave. Thank you again for coming on. Hopefully, we can have you back because there's so many questions. I would love to pick your brain about like the Philly season and all that stuff. I think that'd be super fun time.
Yeah,
so, anything you want to plug? Any Flash Op stuff coming up that you want to let the people know about?
Obviously, like Flash Ops, our team, X Oblivion. I think some of our guys, usually like streaming scrims.
Okay.
So I think that would actually be really good. Watch. Very entertaining, I think. I would say it's like the highest level or what you can get in EU at the moment. So yeah, come watch that. It's either like a Funny Astro, Hadi, maybe me. But if not, it's just like when we play the matches in, I believe, a week from now.
Against
Should be a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big game coming up.
Yeah, that is kind of funny. Top seed versus bottom seed.
See how that pans out.
Yeah, for sure. No, but come watch that, and then for sure, I'll hop on a part 2. I'll be very, very glad to maybe look a bit at that list and see some of the names that didn't make it.
Sure.
Either one of you. Talk a bit
I
about
mean,
that,
hey, look, if you want to jump back on at a different time and start flaming all of our lists and be like, bro, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about at main support, you need to get your own, like, that's crazy.
We'll get you on for
definitely.
least lucky player, okay? That's
Oh yeah, true, that's well. Yeah, but yeah, some career stuff in season and whatever. Sure, would be fun.
Awesome,
Nice.
awesome. If you got a split for scrims, go ahead.
Yeah,
You're all set.
we got what are they called? Primus Tornado. Like I guess the best American team.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, we got the scrim right now. So.
Hey, no, get out of here if you got to go. You're all good.
Yeah.
Thank you again. Appreciate you.
Yeah. No worries, man. See ya.
All right, take care. All right, yes, guys, we trickle out of here. SHockWave closes the door behind him ever so quietly. Yeah, anything coming up? How'd you feel about 1 through 10?
Well, I'm surprised we have that much overlap. I think that was super competitive. Like once again,
Yes,
like I think I had like
agree.
5 honorable mentions. I honestly think like if you're thinking about the Hitscan guy, you can also think about Saya player to some degree, right?
Sure, I guess you could.
And yeah, it's just a waiting of seasons and to some degree as well. There are other names worth considering, but like it's just very hard aggregating. Also being fair to like the play rate, because there's something to be said about like, okay, this guy played 20 hours of Widow, but in one season. But is it not just as impressive to play 5 or let's say 8 hours of Widow, but those 8 hours of Widow are also spread across an entire season, suggesting that this guy also kept the level throughout the entire year, right?
Right.
So it's hard to judge, and I think that, like always, you could have more scrutiny and you could put more effort in, but generally speaking, I think I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. But yeah, I think it's not too super serious. I didn't get out the science tools for this one for sure.
No pro trackers, no Rombi. I will say, I think maybe, like, as we talk through it, I think Decay probably should be on my list. Probably maybe, where Hisu is. I think, like, he was definitely one who was like, you can't not put him in there.
Yeah.
Fitz is another one that was like on the short list that was like, okay, he's got like the longevity, but he felt like such a non-factor as like time went on. It was just like and I think the value, to SHockWave's point, I think the value of a player like Fitz is the fact that he can kind of do a little bit more than just play Hitscan. Like he has a little bit deeper of a pool that is valuable 100%, but is he like of the best of all time? That's a hard for me at least to kind of judge him on. I think Decay is what would be the only name that I would probably add.
Sure.
Because his Ash was actually kind of nutter butters. Homie was an absolute just Giga Chad, just running it down on flanks with like one of the most immobile heroes in the game and just like actually egoing kids.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Bussing it down. Any like 1 season names, any 1 season Andes out there that you're like, bro, if this guy had an absolute crazy season.
I mean, Saya Players one, Highness one.
Sure.
Corey could have been good, I think. DM
never got a chance, bro.
Yeah.
Actually, never got playtime.
Yeah.
Hard bench.
Had some solid. Edison is a weird thing because Edison is also more like a hyperflex, but he definitely had a Widow also. Glister was like crazy on Cassidy for a while.
Yeah.
I
that
think
London squad, bro. He was the only good part about that London squad.
Then everyone like miraculously improved heavily, right? Like came back, just like
it's almost like the
taunt him from
fucking...
the grave.
Almost like maybe the team dynamic was shit. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
Weird that.
You want me to say Godspeed, don't you?
Oh no.
Did you think about it?
Not at all. Not once.
Oh, okay.
I mean, old man strength. Yes, I get where your head's at, but like, you can't. It's so hard for me to look back at those seasons and be like, oh yeah, you know who fucking pounded? Oh, and why did I just think of the name and it just instantly escapes me? Hold on, let me pull it up. Who was the Justice player that had like a weird resurgence? Oh, balls. OG runaway player, Hitscan.
Assassin.
Fuck. No. Not Assassin.
With S. Goddamn. The tiny guy, right?
Yeah.
Stitch.
There we go. yeah. Unforgettable. Stitch. Yeah. No, like you could. I think if you were to cap this, like, oh no, the league died after like season 3, like Stitch probably could be on that list. But I don't know. Maybe that's even a hot take.
Yeah, probably is. You know what you could also say? If you capped this list pre-Overwatch League, then Taimu's maybe.
That's true. I mean, honestly, still a fantastic string of highlights. Just like actually dunking and
Holy
like birthing
shit.
Carpe into the world. Like, what the fuck was that kid on that day?
That fucking flick is still one of the sickest clips.
Make Taimu piss in a cup, and I guarantee you the Geiger counter starts going off. He's on some crazy performance enhancing shit back then. Like you're in Korea. I don't know if we need to get Tasma on the show. What kind of supplements was this kid on? Because that was crazy.
Drinking this guy's urine cures ADHD. I'm pretty sure. Like, that was crazy.
Daddy or not, it doesn't matter. Actually locked in. And it's so funny that it happened to Carpe when we were putting Carpe on like the top 10 list, and like Taimu kind of like gives him his like intro to the league. You know, back then Carpe was like a BK Stars, like, young player coming up. I think maybe it was even his rookie season, and he's on Genji on Volskaya, and he just absolutely gets shit faced, plastered by this fucking Finnish phenom who, just for the time, that was insane. There's no wonder why Envious never wanted to play dive, because this kid probably was just forcing Hitscan all day, every day.
I will also say this guy would never make my list because he played like 5 minutes, but those my 5 minutes hopped. Like, Pine is like, it won't mean much to you, but the Ronaldinho of Overwatch League, okay? Ronaldinho is like a player, yes, he won a couple of Champions Leagues, like he got trophies, right? I guess Pine also got like, stage trophies or whatnot. But what is actually about Pine is the way he played Overwatch was magic.
Yeah.
Right? Like, the thing about a player like Ronaldinho is, like, sometimes he just, like, thought, okay, I get the ball at my, like, corner, and then I keep up the ball while sprinting top speed faster than the defender can, without the ball ever touching the bottom, and I'll just finish at the end, right? And that type of shit is Spider Pine. That type of shit is like Junkertown Pine, right? That type of shit is Ilios Pine. All of that shit is magic for the time it happened. That was based on great fundamentals. It was based on like really quick thinking and not overthinking and over attaching oneself to like little micro objectives. Honestly, a lot of things that just became normal, but in those aspects, he just was ahead. And then he also was fucking batshit crazy, right?
That's exactly how I define these players. I call them "wouldn't it be funny if" players.
Yeah.
The players who will unironically load into a competitive match on stage, hand warmers in pockets, lights, cheers from the crowd, and go, "Wouldn't it be funny if I grappled behind Gibraltar last and just killed the entire team? Wouldn't it be funny?" And then they just fucking do it.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be funny if I just grapple over the top of what's the Circuit Royal over the house and just try to snipe people? Wouldn't it be funny if I go around Junkertown and just start shooting people? And then they do.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's magic. It's batshit insane. But sometimes you got to have those people, sometimes you got to have the Kobe's. You got to have those, like, just a little bit, they're a little unhinged, but as long as you put them in the right direction, then they're working for you, not against you.
It's sort of like the spirit of the Plaid Widow, because a Plaid Widow shits on a Master's Widow in terms of like mechanics. They are just completely boneheaded about shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's the spirit of players like Pine, right? I'm not
these
sure.
are the swordsmen who have never wielded a sword, right? If I'm understanding like the quote the right way, right? Like they don't know what the fuck they're doing, so it's really hard for like anybody who's like kind of
yeah, but it's more like drunken boxing. There is actually some
that's
method
fair.
to
I like that.
And I'm not sure like there are too many players like this. Maybe Yaki. I think also like a fair shout. And what if is like Exy? What if that guy never had his injury, right?
Yeah.
And then doesn't have to quit and can keep going. I'm pretty sure he's like he gets a ring with fuel.
Yeah.
That's a play like that. There is a bit of Pine in MM3, I think. Like that kid also sometimes just like takes a deep talk and then goes to town. Right? Like he sometimes just sees the magical lines where he has to put the crosshair like throughout the map. Given to him by an acid angel or something. Like it jumps sometimes.
The machine elves speak to MN3.
Yeah.
Shit is wild. I'm trying to think. Like, I feel like Dia had it in him. I think this is a weird old shout, and I don't remember if I'm remembering his. Maybe it's even not worth bringing up. There was a couple of other like Chinese players that I think like they had towards the start of the league. I think they had like a weird influx of like actually pretty good Hitscan.
You know who else had a really good Widow in the start?
Oh,
Fleder.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Right? Like Fleta,
I mean, even going into Shanghai, you talk about like the Bren clip of like him clutching on Kings Row last on defense, just hitting headshots after headshots. Like Fleta, unironically, and I was thinking about this because I think we watched the same like Owl highlight reel, just to kind of like refresh our memories. Bro, I think Fleta had the potential. I don't know if he still does. I really think he had the potential to be like an all-time great, and he still maybe is, but it's so much harder to say now. But the skill set, the tool set that he had, just woeful teams around him. Unironically, some of like the craziest throws.
I sometimes I want to be in that very first scrim block where Fleta plays with Lip, and he goes like, "What the fuck? Someone turned the gravity up. Why are my shoulders so light? Holy shit, bro!" Like, I feel like that must have been an immense moment where Fleta realized I'm not the best player on my team anymore. It's that,
and
kid.
It's probably such a relief. Like unironically, maybe even getting emotional. Like, wow, I have teammates now. This is so nice.
Yeah.
And it's not like Fitz was that bad before, but it's still like Fleta's doing the hard lifting. Like people talk about like, oh, Fitz is Cassidy and like, bro, it's still Fleta 90% of the time. Fitz is just kind of there along for the ride and is doing his job. And that's kind of how I've always seen him.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at him, but like, is he above average? Sometimes.
Yeah. I feel like that maybe you're also on the shy thing. Like, if you ask me, highest innate skill, like out of the box, comes prepackaged. Skill of all time, it would have to be Lip, Proper, and Shy.
Yeah.
I think those are like nobody's close in inherent skill. There's just something like fucked about these guys. Kev is close, but like, dude, nah, these guys are crazy with it.
I would say Kev's pretty damn close. I think Kev probably could be on that list. Yeah, no, I have been singing Shy's praises as like an absolute fucking just stupid player. Just stupid in the best ways. I remember him on like LGD, like way back in like the Chinese amateur space, just winning 3v1s and just making his team good. Like it was him and Gusha, and that was basically it.
Yeah. And
that's it.
And I feel like the difference to like Leave and Profit feel like in one basket where like if these guys don't play, you see it. Like this is they are like the effort.
Yep.
Monsters, right? I feel like I frequently heard like some players just like popping off even while they're not really playing, right?
Sure.
And like again, I'm convinced that if you let Shy, Lip, Proper run for 5 more years in the Overwatch League, if they can at all find the motivation, these guys remain elite players throughout the entire period of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
They are just like insanely talented with it, right? And to the degree that I don't think others were weirdly, like even Stalker is a little bit different in my head, and I wouldn't be able to tell you exactly what the thing is. But like there's some dimensionality. Like if you have like a like a spider web of skills, I feel like these 3 players are like super maxed on all things, where others like Prophet, like Stalker, like Leaf, they just like have an overrepresentation, and they can mask like the maybe a little bit lacking aim in Prophet's case, in comparison to the GOATs of aim, with just be like having like maxed out game sense or game understanding and whatnot, right? And there's also something to be said about the dimensionality of, I feel like these innate players, I don't know how to judge them based on like their input on the game, how much they take over, how much they shot call, other than Proper, where I know that's happening. Right.
Yeah.
But like the problem is like Proper is like a quantum computer, and he has a bottleneck of a mouth, and then he requires everyone to decode the messages into their quantum computer, and they have like a Pentium 3, and it's fucked. Right? Like
Ah, they're on the Intel Pentium 3. You got to peel the sticker off their head just to get fucking Brood War to load. It's rough out here. They're TI-84 turbo calculators, I guess.
Yeah.
It is rough. You hate to see a thriving Hyperflex on an absolute just dumpster fire, tire fire of a team, actual pants on head shit. You really hate to see it. One of the I feel like Overwatch has a overrepresentation, and maybe this is just like because of how much time we've spent in Overwatch. I feel like there's such an overrepresentation of actual diamonds in the rough that like are obvious. You know what I mean? Like obviously the like one of the perennial ones like Flood his career before like Lunatic High. Just like holy shit, get this kid out of here. This is insane.
Yeah.
This is like, and you can't really say that about Proper, and like you can really only say that about him this season. Obviously last year, like a team fight away from winning a ring. This season it was pretty rough, and still he was doing the Lord's work very quietly on Sombra, but like being very continuously impressive. And yeah, no, I feel like Overwatch has like these very obvious diamonds in the rough that like just stick out. And you're just like, bro, somebody save this kid. Just get Corey off somebody pick up Corey. Somebody get Glister. Like somebody's got to sign these kids. And I feel like there was a lot of Chinese talent that was like that for a long time. And I feel like, you know, if it was easier to get a Chinese visa or a Chinese national, like a US visa, some of these kids would just be bag throwers. Like, you know who you are. You'd be paying these kids.
Yeah,
you would. You would. Didn't Gunba come out and talk about how they wanted Shy on like 200K?
Yeah, I think something like that. Yeah, I'm not sure if the number was 200K, but yeah,
somewhere around that ballpark where they're like, we got to get him. Like he is worth it. Like he is going to pay off. Like they exist. And I will say, I think there was this Chinese tournament that happened not so long ago, the Aurora Cup. You know.
Yeah.
I don't know how necessarily super serious everybody was taking it, but some solid Overwatch for some names that, you know, aren't thought of in the realm. A lot of like young Korean talent coming up that were competitive with the Spark. You know, this former Spark roster going to game 5, going to, you know, deep waters with some amateur Koreans and Jasmine, who I'm going to keep it a buck with you. I'm not the biggest fan of, but apparently had some decent games. So maybe some growth there for young Jasmine. Who knows?
For sure.
Yeah. Anything coming down the pipeline as we wrap up the post show, if you will?
We're currently producing mostly like Christmas content. I'm probably going to do a little bit of sleuthing on a couple of things. We still haven't found out what's happening next year. Even though, I think like the general picture is more disseminated of like, you know, the third party seems pretty well established that that's happening. Where it's happening, what kind of structure it will have, what the implications are. That's the sort of color we need to paint in. And there are a couple of developments that are interesting behind the scenes.
Okay.
But yeah, generally speaking, I'm probably going to continue doing at least one more Essence of Heroes before the new year, if I can sling it, because next week I won't be able to do a podcast because I will be in Britain. And then, we'll see. I'll be cooking up some stuff for sure.
Dope. All right, based. I've got a couple interviews coming out. Hottie just got released. Spoke to him about the future of Overwatch. He seems pretty optimistic as my monitor tan completely fades because I open too many tabs. Hottie's coming up. I spoke to Kasaurus about some of the, you know, coachable stuff, some team building things things of that nature that should be coming out sometime soon. And yeah, going to be booking next week's guest. Hopefully, we'll dabble. I'm not sure exactly if we're going to do another role or we're going to do maybe a top 10 review. We'll see. But yeah, playing a lot of WoW. Come find me. I'm forklift certified on fire something. I don't know. Whatever. Just
what do you do at max level? I'm max level. I'm like, yeah, I'm killing some.
You're max level. You need to go. You do Ashen Veil. You get your gear, your Prebis stuff. You go do Black Fathoms, the raid. It's kind of fun. It's kind of a joke. So it's pretty easy. But it's pretty fun. I'm excited to get another character rolling. It's a pretty good time. And yeah. Okay. Don't play warrior, folks. Go play a warlock because pretty pog. All right. We're out of here. 325. Thank you again to sHockWave. Go like and subscribe to his socials. Go watch the VODs, the streams. Go support Overwatch. Go support you, Overwatch. Specifically. And yeah, we're out of here. We'll see you next week. Adios.
Peace.